Okay, so let's start. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, hope my screen is visible. Screen visible है? Okay, ठीक है. अभी screen visible है? ठीक है, तो let me share my screen here. It's already shared. Okay, fine. So basically, what we are going to discuss. Name. What's the name is Trototio. So let's take one page. So what we are going to discuss today? Today we are going to discuss about socket programming, TCP and UDP sockets in Python. Okay. So in yesterday's class, I just explained about. Let me just take this example over here. So what we discuss. So let's. I have a computer. I'm just taking this example over here. Uh, let's take one computer. So this is one computer, and this computer we will have one IP address. Okay, IP address means you can say host name or IP address, IP address. So first of all, yesterday what I told you that how you will find the IP address in Windows and Linux. So the first command that you run is ipconfig. That command run in Windows. Okay. Second is ifconfig. With the help of that, you can find your Windows IP address, this one Linux IP address or Mac IP address. So if anybody of you are using Mac, so you can run the ifconfig. So don't go to the another computer. First, what we will do, our objective for the today's session is we are going to create one server and one client, one client. Okay, this client will interact with this server and send some message. Okay, server will respond that message. Okay, and respond that message, and the client will listen that message. So we will do this one with the help of, and this communication, whatever the communication that we are talking about, that is this communication is TCP communication. Okay, till this point, any question? This is the TCP communication. This is TCP communication. So TCP communication, and same thing. What we will do, we'll create one server, one client. But what we will change, we'll change the communication medium. Communication medium will be the UDP communication. Okay. So what we have to discuss, how we create. So over which what we are listening, this communication is happened with the help of some socket, with the help of some socket. So we will going to use the socket APIs in Python, and we'll see how we can create a TCP socket, how we can create a UDP socket, how we can send the message from client to the server and server to the client. Okay, I don't want to waste time in this one, so we'll just directly quickly jump into the program. So let's we'll start the session of system programming. So let me just create one folder. Let's folder name is socket. Okay. So we are going to socket programming. So we'll just take it socket. I just create one file, that is server.py, and we have to create another file also, client TCP, and which one is UDP. So I'm just writing here TCP server, and here I'm just mentioning over here that is UDP, TCP client. So let me just write over here TCP client. So As I told you, this TCP server is this one. So the file that I'm going to use here, TCP server.py, and for the client, I'm going to create here this one TCP client. So from the name, it's very much clear that the communication medium that I'm going to create is the TCP. Underlying protocol that going to be used is the TCP protocol, transmission control protocol. So the one difference, let me just first tell you about the one difference. TCP is the communication, like if I just create a connection, till the connection will be established, uh, this server and client communication will have a dedicated connection. They are tightly coupled with interacting with each other. In the UDP, we don't have the will it will just broadcast the message. Whoever is listening, they can listen the message. So let's start with how we will create the TCP socket. So start with this example. So first of all, what I told you, we are creating server. So here I'm going to create server, and in another end I'm going to create client. So what are the steps to create a server and a client? So to create a server, I told you that we are going to use one API, that is the socket API. So first of all, we will import the socket. So socket is, what is socket? This is the Python module that provide us the function, provide us TCP, UDP, and other. It's not providing TCP and UDP. Apart from that, it's provide few more protocols also. So for the time being, I'm just saying that this module will provide a TCP and the UDP. Okay, uh, underline how it will works. Is it clear till this point? Okay, now what we have to do, as I told you, in this socket API, in this socket module, we have one function, that is socket. Okay, socket is one function, and this function this function will take some input. Input means so takes some arguments. Not input, will say as an argument. So what is the argument here? In the yesterday session, when I told you, I didn't take any argument over here, but especially today, what we are going to do, we are going to create a TCP socket. So I just want to here this socket. So just I'm just writing here TCP socket. Okay, and I'm writing here like socket dot socket. In the yesterday session, what we did, will create like this. Okay, but here, how I will be identifying that whether this socket that I'm going to create is a TCP socket or a UDP socket. In yesterday's session, just I told you that we will have one socket. It We don't know whether it's a TCP, it's a UDP. But in the today's session, we are just differentiate that whatever the socket that we are going to create, it must be the TCP socket. So how we will be differentiating that one? In this socket function, we will have some parameters. So some parameters is AF inet. So the one parameter is AF inet, and after that we will have the here stream parameter. The first parameter is AF inet, and another parameter is socket stream. Socket stream. These two parameters we need to pass, but from where we will get these two parameters? So these two parameters are defined in this socket, uh, basically package or module, you can say. So how we can use it? If I want to use anything from the socket, so I have to write socket. After that, I have to specify that I want to use ifnet. Then I want to use socket again, and after that I need to use the socket stream. Which stream I am going to use it? Okay, uh, the function, now this is going to create the this is going to create the TCP socket now. So now we can say whatever the socket that we have create, it is the TCP socket. Now we are make sure that socket is TCP socket. After that, so first what we have to do now, what I'm trying to do, I'll just create a diagram so that at the end we will just make sense that how we will do that. So this is TCP server.py. So first what we have to do, we have to import socket. First step. In the next second step, what we have to do, we have to create a TCP socket. So now I'm just writing here TCP socket. How we will create, we will be writing like this one. So this will create a TCP socket. Clear? So we are able to create a TCP socket. Now one statement the people will use, what it returns, what this returns. Okay, this socket functions return the TCP socket FD. Okay, let's see, print TCP socket FD. Okay, so let me just TCP socket, print the TCP socket. It will just I'll just go to the socket, and let me run this one. Python TCP server is there. So if you will see, this socket is written, so I'm just writing the word na FD. Okay, and this the two things, if you will see, TCP socket, this is the TCP socket FD, which family it is and which type it is. So the family will be, this is the family, and the type is the socket string. So this it will return. So the word that will be asked to you, like when you create a socket, what it returns. So it returns the simple straightforward answer is, it returns the socket FD. You can say socket family, socket type, and the protocols. Right now I don't define any protocol, but I will tell you in the next again session that what are the protocols we can specify over here. Like you have the HTTP protocol, HTTPS protocol, if you want to use some like other protocols, so that we can define over here. So till this point, I hope you don't have any doubt or anything. Now let's come to the another point. What we have to do, we have to okay. So now we have created a socket. Now another part is, we have to bind uh, on which server, on which server, IP address and port my socket is running. Socket is running. So first of all, what we have to do, we have to bind this, binding my server on some address. How we will do that? So to do this, first of all, what we have to do, we have like address, I'm just specifying address we need to find. So just to specify, in the initially we are working on the same system, so we can specify the loopback IP address 10 dot, this is my loopback IP address. So I'm just writing loopback IP address. Then I will be specifying the port. So uh, better you can specify the port greater than 100, because systems are using the port less than 100. So it may or may not be the possibility you will get a free port. So better I will just go some port, go 6070 or 701, something like this. Okay, this is my port. So what I have to do, I have created a address in the port. Now I want to bind this address in the port to my socket. So my objective is how we can bind my address and the port with socket. So what we have to do for this, we have functions available in this socket library. Socket.bind. Okay, it will return, will come to that part. Socket.bind, we have to specify our address. So whatever my address is, so this is my, let me specify, just to specify IP address so that it will be clear, more clear. IP address and the port. So these two things it will be do. When we will bind this socket, what it actually returns. Okay, so this is binding my this IP address in the port. Now what we have to do now, we are we are able to bind our IP address and port. Next step is we have to listen for my client request. Okay, so just to make sure, as like I'm just writing here socket dot bind socket dot listen. So what socket I'm just writing, I'm just referring here TCP socket here. So better I will be writing here TCP socket, not socket. I have to use TCP socket. So I'm just specifying here TCP socket dot listen. Okay, I don't know how many clients I have to do, so I will not pass anything. But if you are passing a limit over here, if you write like this TCP socket dot listen, like 1 1 2 3 any number, so it means that it will listen the number of client that you specified here in argument. Okay, so like here I'm just specifying one, so it will be listening for one client and then it will be exited. But I don't want to make my program for this one, so I want to be create a program that will be listening for as much as client I have there. So now for that, if I want to listen the request, I will be just listening in an infinite loop here. So in the next step, so till then we'll just create a diagram just for our understanding so that we can create it. We have created a socket. Now what we have to do, we have to bind the port. So how we will be binding the port? We will be binding the port with this function bind and the port IP address in the port. Okay, so this is my IP address in the port. In the next step, from this point when we start listening, so my server gets started. So there is only the one difference between this. So when I just write over here listen, so from here my server gets start listening. Okay, so these step, any question, any doubt till this point? Okay, if you have anything you will let me know. Okay, let's start to the next one now. So we have created a socket. We are able to listen the client request. Now I just want in the while loop. So now what we have done, we have written a while loop. Now I just want to get the you can say like from which connection and address I am getting the request. So for that, what we have to do, connection, and this CON is for connection, and client address I will be writing here client. Let me write here client so that it's clear. Client connection and client address. Okay, so that I'm listening. So TCP server dot listen. Listen, I already did. I have to accept the request. So when I am accepting the request, this accept function will return me two things. One is the client connection and another one it will be written the client address. So sometime what happen, people will say like client connection or client FD you can say, or client connection, both will have the same thing because FD also have will told na, it will also have written this one. So at this point of time what we have, we will have the connection request. So if it is successful, we can say client get successfully connected. So we are able to connect with the client. So let's do one thing. Right now I don't want to listen any send any request, neither anything. I did it this part, and after that I'm just closing my TCP socket. So we'll do the later things in between this. So let's close the socket. So my work is done. Whatever the client sent me the request, after that, what I will do, I will should not this connection I have received, I will close this connection. Otherwise, this connection is always open, and like as much as clients increasing a certain limit, I'm not able to accept any other client. So whenever your client is done, we have to close the connection. It's a better practices. Okay, so now my connection is done. So I'm just writing one message over here, print listening for client. Let me just write uh, for client request. Okay, it is waiting for the client request. So let me just go over here and run the TCP server. So okay, so one more point, yesterday also I missed over here. So this request will be accepted as a tuple. Okay, when I'm just running over here, so everything is done, my server is ready and it is listening for the clients. So till this point, anything you have? So let's come to this one. So now when we are listening, so what we have to do, we'll just take this block over here. In this block we will be accepting the client request, and after that, accepting the client request, I'm not doing anything, I'm just closing the final response, final socket. So when the client request is accepted, it will return me the two things. One is the client connection ID and the connection one. Okay, I will relate it to you with the help of how you guys are connecting now. So like how you will do. And finally my connection is closed. Finally my connection is closed. So connection close means that now I'm not listening anything, and the same loop is running for this one. So in the while loop we are running, so it will be running as the clients are sending the request. So this is a small diagram that I just want to showcase you, that how we will create a server. Now let's come to the client here. So we're going to create a client. So let's first of all, the same thing, we have to import the socket. So same way I'm just relating you. So what are the things and what are the different changes you have to make while creating a client. So same thing, I'm just importing this socket over here. After creating the socket, what you have to do in the server side, you will see we create the socket. So in the same way, what we have to do, we have to create a socket in client side. And which type of socket we have to create, where I told you we will create a TCP socket. Now till this point everything is same, this is same. I'm also, we are also doing the same thing over here. So let's connect this also. uh, this is connected to this one. Okay, so after that, what we have to do, we have to connect. To whom we have to connect? So normally server is there, now simply we have to connect. So let's take this one, we will say TCP client I am writing over here, so that it will differentiate me which one is client and which one is TCP client socket. I'm going to create in the TCP client socket. Now I have to connect with which, connect with some IP address. So some IP address will be there, IP address and some port. So which IP address it will be? It will be my server IP address. So I will take the same IP address that we are going to use over here. So the IP address is here and the port is here on which my client, my server is running, and I want to connect with that particular server. Okay, when we connect with this server, so what happens? What it will do, it will create a connection. Okay, it will create a connection, and at the end my work is done. I will just do one thing, I will just simply close this connection. I am not sending anything, anything else. So what I am trying to do, this is my let me change the name of this one. Let me rename. Now this is my server and Abu is my client. This is my client. So let's open the client now. So we'll close, or we'll take one thing, we'll take another terminal over here. I'm just deleting this one. I'm writing the name as the client. So in this one, I'm just going to my program path socket dir python and tcp client.py. When I executed the same mistake, I you will see every time I'm doing the same mistake. So you have to make it tuple. Don't need to be okay. So when I hit this one, what happens? Let's see. Client gets successfully connected. Okay, fine, very good. So let's do one thing. Let's split it in two parts. Or either what I will do, I will create one terminal over here so that I want to see what happened exactly in the server. Right now I'm in the server. Let's open here, cd whatever my path is. I'll just copy the path of my program. Okay, sorry, it's not copied properly. I guess it's copied now. So till this one I'm writing over here python, and I'm writing over here by TCP client. So if you will see, as number of time I am hitting, my client connection is going to be established. Till this point clear? So when I send this request is accepted by my this we have written over here. This request goes to this part. Okay, so let me just make this simpler. This request will go to this part. So but what we did, we are not doing anything right now. We are just what we are doing, we are just validating my connection is successful or not. But now my purpose is, I want to send something to my whenever I connected, I want to send something to the client. So let's go back to the server. So I'll come back to the server over here. Okay. So where I want to send? I want to send to this client. So client connection, I want to send something. So let me send over here. Or if so, there are two ways over here. Why either your client is sending or either your server is sending. It depends on the requirement. But right now, I'm assuming whenever my connection happens, I will send some ID or some number to my client. Okay, so let's send this one. So send, in the send one, what I'm trying to do here, sending over here, send, and message I'm writing over here, message hello, I have accepted your client request. Okay, so this message I want to send, and I'm just writing over here. So let's see, we have sent the message from here, but how we will identify when we will receiving over here? So in between this TCP, before the TCP close, we have to receive the message also. So let's receive this message. So uh, when we will have this connection over here. So this TCP socket dot, we will write over here receive TCP socket, which socket? Client socket dot receive. And in receive, how many bytes you want to be received? Like, I'm assuming in a bunch of requests I want to receive 1024 bytes. And while I am sending this request over the network, I want to make it encoded. Okay, so I just encode this one. and while I'm getting this while I'm fetching the data, okay, this is my message from client. I'm just writing over here client message. Okay, so client message I received. I want to print this message. So server I will be writing over here, and I'm writing from server client message dot decode. What we have to do, we have to decode that message. Okay, till this point we are clear that what we are doing. So let's have a look over here. So yesterday I have told you one command netstat hyphen nta or NOA. I have told you. So you will see we will have this client IDs and all will be there. So let's find here. After that, which port my server is running, 6061 it is running. So I have to put the double quotes over here. So it's not able to find on which port my server is running. 6071, sorry, that's why it's not able to find. Let's write 6071. So what it return, it will return me this FDID. So what I will now what we have to do, we have to first kill our process. So do you remember what is the command? Anyone of you? What is the command to? There are two ways. One is either you will go to the task manager and kill that one, or either you will write a command task kill. After that, you will, what we have to do, we are deleting based on our process ID. So what is our process ID over here? So this last number that we are returning, that is my process ID. So I'm just copied over here and enter. So this process is so it's giving me error. So it's saying I want to delete it forcefully. So if you will see, this process is successfully terminated. So as the process is terminated, you will see I will get a prompt over here. I will come out from this one. And because what, why I need this one, because I am running my server in a while loop. Okay, so if you will press Control C and all, so it will not accept, because your microprocessor will not accept is running in a while loop. So better you can kill like this. Okay, so now we'll start my process once again. Let's start my server. My server is started. It's waiting for the client over here. So let's have a request over here. So I have written TCP client. So if you will see, this is the message that I sent from the server. Hello, I have accepted your request and client, your client request. So this message whom sent? This message my client sent to my server. I don't have this message earlier. Now when I hit this request, this message is received by my client. Okay, now what I want to do, I want to do some changes. I want to listen, receive something from here. Okay, so receive from client, same thing. So whatever the things that we are written over here, so I will reverse the thing. I will just change the socket FD over here. So this is my client FD. I want to return receive from the client FD. This I got received from. I will be going to print client from client, and after that I'm just going to print it. So initially I told you that whatever the message that we are sending, we have to decode over here. So we are decoding. So this message we are able to print. So let's have a look. So now when we have to send something from here also. So same way, whatever the message that we are sending from here, for a time being we'll just copy this one and we'll send. So we'll do the alignment correct. So what I'm trying to do, hey, hope you are able to process my request. Okay, And if you want to send the client FD and all, that you can do. Whatever the connections you will be getting, you will get the client FD and you can append over here. That you can do over here. So this message I'm sending to the client to the server. So before proceeding this one, first what we have to do, we have to find the process ID. Then after that, what we have to do, first we have to kill our process ID, otherwise we are not able to execute this one. So how we will do, we'll just type or whatever you want to do, -f. So this process ID is terminated, we are successfully come out from here. Let me execute this program once again. So now I'm running my TCP socket. So TCP socket, okay, client connection, I'm writing somewhere client connection. Tuck, tuck, tuck. So what is the message? Client connection is not defined. Which message in the client connection one? Okay, this is the TCP connection, I guess. So sorry for that. So for that we have to run this one. So if you will see, we get the message from here, but here if you will see, we will get the client, whatever the message that we sent from the server. So while sending the server, where we have written, okay, so we get the message client, from client, hey, hope this is the message that we are sending, correct? So this is the same message that we are sending from the client. So we are able to get out over here. So now we are able to. So in the today's session for TCP1, what we did, how we will create a client and how we will create a server and the client. So we will just do a small change, and my socket will convert it into TCP2 to UDP. So what are the changes that we have to made? So in the TCP socket, uh, my first change. So let's make this TCP. We'll take another socket example so that we will. Sorry, I have to revert this one. So let's take one more file over here. I'm saying here this is UDP server.py, and another file I will going to create, that's name is UDP client.py. Okay, let's understand what things we will do. I'm just copying the TCP one into the UDP one. So now I'm going to create here UDP. This socket will be UDP. So what I have to do here, socket, instead of sock stream, what change I have to do, I have to write here sock dgram. So the small change, one change, dgram. So when you made this change, your socket will become the UDP socket. Your socket will become the UDP socket. First thing. Okay. Now from this step, okay, in the UDP socket, we don't have to bind and all. So I'm just deleting this part. So first change is socket datagram. It will create the socket as a UDP socket. Now we have to bind. So bind one we will common. This is my bind statement. So I will take the bind as is. Okay, so what, where I'm deleting UDP socket, correct? In the UDP socket, we have to take till bind, because my UDP socket is also running in some port. Let's take it's running in 106072. Okay, so till this point, or either we can take like this 60722. Okay, better don't take the lower ports, but it's also work on 6072 also. That's not a problem. So now when we bind this, my socket, my server connection will be, now I am trying to listen. After binding, I will be listening on the request. What request anybody is sending to me. Okay, so let's take this one, this UDP. Okay, one thing, let me just correct the name, otherwise you guys will get confused. This is the UDP, and wherever I'm using the this one, this is UDP. After that, in this one also UDP. Now, at this particular point, what we have to do, we have to send this message, UDPs, all the UDP sockets. So what I am trying to do, UDP socket dot, okay, or you can say receive from dot dot receive v. After that I have to write here from, and what I am whatever the message I am just writing over here, uh, okay, and it will return me the two things. One is same, client ft, client underscore ft, and another one it will return me the address. So these two things it returns. Okay, so now what we have to do, we have to change a method over here, client ft dot or client socket dot send, and after that we have to write here two, I think send two, if I am not correct, not wrong, sorry, that is the message, and my UDP socket, I'm just writing over here, just you can message anything whatever the relevant that you think. Okay, and uh, okay, surely one thing I think, this we are receive from. So when we receive, it will be receive the uh, client data, not FD, client data. Okay, it receive the client data, and now I just want to why I'm sending here. I have to first print the client data. I'm just going to print the client data. So when we are printing this client data, we have to decode, because whatever the message we will able to decode that. So this is my server is ready. So let's run my server. First we will run my server. So I'm just converting into the UDP, UDP server. So Python UDP, and I'm just press enter over here. So if you will see here, when I, oh sorry, I just run here server. So same thing, everything is same only. One second, I have changed the protocol as well as the socket type. Socket type is here, this one. Okay, let's take the difference over here. So if you will see in this one, okay, we will have the differences socket type. Here socket type is 1, in the UDP socket type is 2. Apart from that, everything is same. This is the same function that will create the socket. So now we will going to create the client over here. Till that, any point, any question you can ask, any doubt? Hello? Okay. Uh, no doubt, no question. Yes, yes, recording is ongoing, man. That's not a problem. Okay, fine. Recording is there, man. Recording will be continue. Okay, let's complete this one. Then I will stop it. Then I will explain it again. So in the UDP one, what we have to do, we'll copy the same one. So in the UDP, our socket will be same. What we have to do after creating the socket, we have to just send the message only. So we will delete each and everything from here. Socket means, UDP mean broadcast. You are speaking, you have a loudspeaker, okay, and you are just speaking. Whatever the server is listening on that port will listen over there. So first of all, we'll create a socket, and after that, what we have to do, we have to send our message. So on which FT and all we are sending, we'll decide over here. So what we will do, whatever my UDP socket is, UDP socket dot send send to, and after that what message you want to write, message is, this is my client message, client UDP message. I will write over here. You can write anything. Okay. Whenever we are sending, we'll write this and encode this one. First, my message work is done. Now, what we have to do, we have to send this where I want to send. I want to send on this IP address and this port. This is my port. So on this IP address and this port, I want to send this message. Okay, so let's see and check whether it's working or not. So Python UDP client, when I am hitting, so I'm getting the message over here. So this is the message. Now the point is, for you, the client uh, TCP and server is same, but underline is this is broadcasting the message, and whatever the whatever the clients or whatever the servers persons who are listening on that particular port, they can get your message. So that's only the difference. So now I'm just wind up this one and close the recording and take your questions now.